Imagine being cast out by your tribe, betrayed by everyone you trusted. You barely escape with your life, only to fall into the deepest place in the world, the abyss. Surrounded by deadly monsters, you unleash your last magic, and suddenly a level 99 warrior appears before you. From that moment, the legend of your revenge against the traitors begins. Our episode begins with this super cool anime. This is the start. There was nothing. The world was pitch black emptiness, inhabited only by demons and jinn. There were no humans. After that, different races appeared. The dragon race, fairies, oni, dwarves, the demon race, dark fairies, centaurs, the monster race, and finally, humans. The scene shifts to a beautiful village. We see Light bidding a warm farewell to his parents, his brother Ellis, and his sister Yumi. He promised them he would become a formidable, very high-ranking adventurer, that he'd support them and make them rich. The scene moves to when he was in another city, perhaps lost. But at that very moment, a member of the monster race approaches him and says, "Beat it, human, you should stay out of our way, or we'll kill you." Light apologizes to him and continues on his way until he reaches the guild. Now it's his turn. A girl from the guild welcomes him and asks if this is his first day registering. He confirms, "Yes, it's my first time registering in my life. My name is Light." She starts writing his registration form and tells him, "You're rank F, the lowest rank. Since this is your first time, but tell me, do you have any skills?" He replies, "Yes, of course, I do." She says, "Show me then. Let's see." He informs her that it's the skill of infinite gotcha. "I'll explain now," he says. A star comes out of his hand, he starts spinning it, and then a card appears. It has a thorn on it, but when he pulls it out, it's unfortunately a bent thorn. He tells her, "Don't be shocked. Wait. I'll try again." He tries once, twice, a third time. He pulls out a rotten apple and moldy bread. She says to him, mockingly, "Well, your talent is clearly very good." He tells her, "Do whatever you want." And with that, she hands him the rank F card, the lowest rank. Before leaving, he asks her if there's any work he can start right away. She says, "Look, buddy, the easiest jobs are posted on that bulletin board over there." He looks at the board, but his face changes. She says, "I have a feeling you can't read." "Unfortunately, yes, I can't read. I'm illiterate," he admits. "Don't worry about it," she says. "In that case, there's gathering firewood, moving trays, and cutting grass. Farm work, basically." He says, "Anything, as long as I can work and earn money." After that, Light adapts to his job. He carries stones, fills the cart, and works very hard, strenuous labor. He returns at the end of the day with a small amount of money. Despite his huge effort, the money is little. But that's how the world works. You work hard, you get a small amount of money. You do easy work, you get lots of money. A world where everything is backwards. This money is barely enough for me to afford lodging tonight. But then, a great disaster happens. A group of monsters confronts him. What do you expect them to do to him? Please pause the video and write your answer in the comments. One of the monsters bumps into him and says, "Are you stupid? Watch where you're going." "I'm sorry, I really didn't notice," he replies. "No, my dear," they say. "You've dirtied my clothes. Who's going to wash them now? Look, I'll take this money. It's barely enough for my laundry bill." Light gets angry and says, "Please, give me back my money. That's my money and I worked hard for it all day. I won't be able to stay the night without it." But the monster hits him with a powerful blow, knocking him to the ground, and then says, "Be grateful if you can even rent a pigsty with that amount. Now get out of our sight. To let you go, we have to take this money. Come on, guys, let's take the money and go get a drink." Light was very sad and couldn't do anything. At that moment, he sees a group of elves, and one extends a hand to him, checking on him. He is startled. She says, "Don't worry, I won't hurt or harm you." Then she gives him a brotherly hug, to the point where he thinks to himself, "Did this fairy or elf get her knees muddy just to come down and hug me? Am I dreaming or what?" She says, "Oh, don't worry, you're awake. Seriously, come on, get up." Then he sees the group. They belong to a troop called the Alliance of Tribes, a group that includes the 9 races we talked about at the beginning of the episode. The wolf speaks to him, saying, "I, for example, am from the monster race. My name is Garo, and that girl who extended her hand is Sasha from the dwarves. There are other people too, a dragon, a demon, the dwarf with the beard, Nano, the girl named Sioni from the dark jinn, and the red man, Centaur. All we need now is a human to complete our squad. We formed this group pursuing a noble cause. We want to put an end to racial discrimination and create a fair world for everyone." First, my friends, if you are followers of the Madra Recaps channel, write in the comments what country you are from. If you are not a follower of Madra Recaps, follow the channel, then write "done" in the comments, and also what country you are from. They continue their conversation, saying, "We need someone like you to join us." Light is very happy with this beautiful idea. After that, the scene shifts to Light, with the group of monsters. The dragon quickly rescues him, another monster attacks him, but another girl, yes, Sasha, saves him. She says, "What's the matter, buddy? I can't take my eyes off you for a minute. We're in the abyss, the darkest place on Earth. You'll die instantly if anything hits you here. I'll protect you, don't worry." But the rest of the squad gathers and teases her, saying, "Sasha can't stop herself from focusing on Light. All the blood is rushing to her cheeks. Look how red her face is." She says, "That's not true. I just don't want anyone in the squad to be lost." The dragon speaks to him and says, "It's okay. Isn't it enough that you can do one thing? It's enough that you'll do something for us and cook for the squad. That's all we want. Now let's get going. We have a long way ahead of us." They continue on their way, and then suddenly stop at a place to rest. Light goes to prepare tea for them. One of them comes to him and says, "Light, wait. I'll bring the tea right away." "Haha," the monster informs him. "That won't be necessary. You will be exiled from this squad now." "But why? What did I do?" Light asks. "That's just the way it is. You will be exiled from the squad. You're not coming with us. Don't you hear? You've become useless to us now. You don't have the abilities we do, and you'll hold us back. Sasha, the girl who was kind to him, says, "This boy is so stupid, he makes me feel sad." Everyone agrees to get rid of him and exile him from the squad. Everyone is mocking him. "You must be kidding. Tell me you're kidding," he pleads. They reply, "Is this the time to joke with a despicable and stupid human like you? But I'm not stupid. You were very kind to me just a little while ago. What happened now?" Garo says to him, "Buddy, we were pretending and deceiving you, you foolish idiot. Unfortunately, you're not useful for anything. When we saw your talent, we thought this kid would benefit us, but unfortunately, it's useless. Look, we've talked to you a lot. Now it's time for the end. You won't speak much anymore." The dragon orders Garo to eliminate him immediately. This means they will banish him from existence, and Garo will take care of it. Garo sharpens his very strong gleaming claws and tries to shred his face, which is now smeared with blood. Light is completely shocked, standing in front of these monsters, terrified. He runs quickly, but they say to him, "Run all you want. You'll only end up as ground meat for some monsters in the abyss." Then Sasha, the girl who had befriended him from the beginning and hugged him, shoots an arrow into his leg. And this, my friends, teaches us never to trust anyone, no matter the circumstances. The arrow pierces his leg, and he falls to the ground, crying and screaming from the intense pain. Garo then hits him with a very powerful blow that nearly knocks the breath out of him and begins kicking him. The dragon tells Garo, "That's enough. Finish him off with one strike." Light tries to move and tries to resist death. He clings to life even though he knows he's going to die inevitably. And indeed, my friends, something strange happens and an instantaneous teleportation circle activates. Garo tries to strike him quickly before he can escape, but the circle activates swiftly, and he teleports to another place. Perhaps a place even harsher than where he was. Light could barely believe he was still alive. The instant teleportation trap activated at the last moment, sending him to another part of this labyrinth. He began to cry, remembering his father, mother, and siblings. He missed them all. He thought back to the group of monsters who invited him to their team, how well they treated him and how much kindness they showed. I respected them, believed in them, and was so happy about it. And yet it was all just a lie. They deceived me into joining an expedition into the labyrinth, then tried to kill me, treating me like trash, with huge mocking grins on their faces, talking about some nonsense. I don't even know what maestro they were talking about. I'll kill them all. I will have my revenge. They hurt me so much. They will all pay. I will not die here. I swear I will rip out their guts. Suddenly, huge rocky monsters appear. They are level 1000. Light is terrified, as these are the kind of monsters you only hear about in folktales. He realizes he has truly been sent to the deepest part of the abyss in this labyrinth. Despite the monsters advancing and preparing to attack, he is determined to fight and not surrender. He frantically searches for a solution to fight this thing and tries to activate his gacha repeatedly, but it doesn't respond. He insists on activating it, just to escape those villains. Suddenly, the gacha activates, emitting a brilliant light. Many magical gates open from it, instantly eliminating the monsters on the spot. A voice says, "I will not allow anyone to harm my master, no matter the cost." Then, a beautiful girl bows to her master, Light. She begins to heal his wounds and apologizes, saying, "She could not bear to see your handsome face wounded this way, my lord. I have taken it upon myself to be your caretaker, my lord." Light is surprised that he no longer feels any pain. He stands up, the agony completely gone, and can barely believe it. The girl introduces herself, and he tells her his name is Light. She replies, "Master Light, Lord of Light." That name sounds grand and celestial to the ear. According to the maid's code of honor, I am bound by duty to my master, Light, Lord of Light. I shall live in your service, devoted until death, and I pledge my absolute loyalty to you. Light is completely astonished and asks, "Where exactly did you come from?" She informs him that her level is 9,999, and she is known as May, the ever-searching maid. "I am an extremely rare card that emerged from your limited Master Light gacha. I will remain bound to you even after death." Light is highly perplexed. "But my unlimited gacha is worthless. There's no way someone as magnificent as you could come out of it, miss." The maid asks him to call her May, without any titles. Light does so, which makes her very happy. She then asks him for another favor. "To use my ability, my innate skill is appraisal. Specifically, it is impossible for your gift to be worthless, my lord. Please allow me to appraise it." Light gives her permission. May performs the appraisal and can barely believe it. She explains that her master's abilities are hidden beneath a thick layer of concealment. "It's impossible for anyone who is not at my level to see the details." She then tells him, "Your special power is not worthless at all. Your gacha has an infinite number of pathways. The gift you receive has probabilities and card rarities that vary based on the density of surrounding mana. Mana is something that flows everywhere throughout the world. However, its density is at its lowest on the surface. This means that the chance of an extremely rare card like me appearing is close to zero. But mana is abundant here, in the depths of this labyrinth. This means you have much better chances of obtaining a rare card. You are very brave, my lord, to have traveled all the way down to the bottom of this labyrinth alone. However, encountering any monster could be fatal, given your current statistics. But fear not. I shall always be with you from now on." Light cuts her off, saying, "You are wrong. I never intended to face the abyss alone." He starts crying, remembering being with the treacherous team. "They all betrayed me. I was cut and shot with arrows. I was nearly killed by people I thought were my friends. They said my gift was bad and called me a pathetic human. All I wanted was to provide for my family. How could they treat me this way just because I'm human? The pain was unbearable. It hurt so much. And all that talk about ending discrimination and creating a normal world, they just wanted to fool me. It's insane. They were so kind one moment, but then they turned into evil murderers. They will all pay the price. I won't rest until they get what they deserve. Tears stream from his eyes. He is consumed by rage. May embraces him and he calms down. The maid apologizes for everything that happened and reassures him. With my power available to you at any time, I shall make them regret the day they were born. I will inflict a severe punishment upon them. It is an easy matter for me. Please, issue the command and I will do everything you ask. I will hunt down those deceitful heathens with all speed and bring their heads to you on spears, my lord. Light asks her to wait and show them mercy, but May, knowing her master's kind heart, tells him, they do not deserve mercy, my lord. Light replies, I put my trust in them and they deceived me, and I nearly died after being severely beaten and dragged to this hell. But this is only because I was weak. So I need to become stronger. Perhaps it's impossible for a human like me, but I want to take my revenge with my own hands, and I will make them all suffer. Do you think that is a pipe dream? May. She bows to him and grants her master this wish. If personal revenge is what you seek, my lord, it is my honor to assist you in achieving it. I believe in your potential more than anything else, my lord. Light is very happy with her words. He begins to activate his gacha again in this mana-filled location to establish a kingdom capable of paving the way for his revenge. The black depths were flooded with bright light, and the first page in his great tale of revenge had begun. Wait for us in the next episode, a very exciting episode of this anime. What will Light do to those traitors and deceivers? Before you leave this video, please subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all that is new. 3 years went by in this place and Light had created a kingdom of his own in this abyss. Every maid were a fangirl of Light, and that just irritated me so much, but Light told to mind them and goes around his land on a survey. There were many stores and people living here and everyone respects Light. He's the ruler here and he takes care of them like their safety and their necessities. After that survey, he asked about others and May said Aoyuki is currently creating a map of the abyss and the surface, and she reported nothing unusual. And then comes the mage, Lady Ellie, who's been developing new magic for Light's plan, and it was also in good flow. He's dumb and she's doing the patrol duty of the castle right now. With that, he arrived to meet Jack, another powerful summon, and he gets too casual with Light. But Light never minds, because he saw Jack as an older brother. In this 3 years, Jack has trained Light in close quarters and turned him into a pure monster. By the way, Nozuna was really doing her job and met the 4 maids on the way. She was happy to carry out Light's work and maids started praising her for such honest work. Nuna is easily manipulated, so the maids asked for a favor. Then she went to a place that was off limits to other maids, and she found May in that place. May was cleaning up Light's room, but Nuna went inside and saw the bedsheet was a mess, and by the looks of it, she was sniffing it. But Nozuna is too pure, or rather, too naive to understand this sort of things. That's why May came up with some stupid reason and she believed her words. But then she remembers the message those 4 mates sent. It says, stop monopolizing Master Light's room because they also want equal rights, you tyrant May. But the last part was hard for Nozuna to understand. But May got it fully. It was the curse words and May decided to punish them. But first, she gives a few penny to Nuna to send her away like a kid. She quickly went to snack stores to buy some dorayaki and milk, but on the way, she found Ayuki. Ayuki was supposed to be on the surface, but she did already. Aoi Yuki had the habit of mimicking a cat, so it's hard to converse with her sometimes. But when Nozuna said she could depend on her, she instantly pulled out her report to show she can do anything on her own. With that, Nozuna continued her duties and came to the throne room. There she got all clingy with Light's throne, but in emotional flow, she accidentally broke the side wing of his throne, so she swiftly ran off after putting it back. Meanwhile, Light went to bath with Jack after a tiring session of fighting, which implies Light is now completely ready to return to the surface to exact his revenge. After that, May called in the 4 who sent that complaint through Nozuna, and she was calm, or rather, she was trying to stay calm. But the 4 said they just wanted to lighten her workload in their own way. But May remembers the last part of their complaint. It wasn't friendly at all, and worse, they sent it through Nozuna. Now they all started to blame each other, but in any case, May assigned them to clean the whole hallway till the throne room with hand. Besides, she has to go to the surface soon, so she told them to work in her absence. In the meantime, Nozuna meets with Ellie, and her work was proceeding smoothly, so she had some spare time on hand. Ellie always picks on Nozuna, so she tries to prove how smart she is, but Nozuna knew she knows nothing about surrounding, and that caused a scene. And then Ellie said how she wants to invite Light to her room for dinner. Nozuna is too pure that she doesn't understand it all. She literally thought Ellie meant dinner only. So after that, Nozuna tried to show she also has an upper hand. Ellie is a mage, so she's not good in close combat, and asks to rely on her. Even Ellie can't be mad on such a pure lady. And that's how she goes away to resume her patrol duty. But somewhere in the castle, 4 mites were still frustrated how May was hogging Light all for herself. They wanted to get fair treatment, but May is way stronger than them. They also want to go to Light's room and go through all of his belongings and bed as well, but one of them was weird with her taste, because she wanted to use the same utensils as Light. The other 3 found it creepy, but they also want to do the same. But their biggest obstacles is May. After all, she's the summon Light pulled, so they can't do much, but it reminds them that the second gacha pull took 3 months, which means May was all alone with Light in this dungeon. Their fantasy ran wild, and May heard all of their nonsense from outside, even the part where they were praying for her death. So one by one, everyone took a U-turn and said they're always loyal to her, to sugarcoat her. But still, May said that 3 months when they were alone, Light was always working hard. So they didn't do anything they were thinking about. But besides that, May added another punishment to this for a clean throne room as well. So when they were in the throne room, cleaning it up, the part Nozuna broke fell down and they thought it was their mistake. but the real culprit was relaxing at night in her room. But the next day, it was time for them to head back on the surface, and watching Light being chummy with Aoki Ellie also tried to hit on him. But a hellhound appears there, and the trauma from 3 years ago still shakes up Light, watching that girls got so ticked that they decided to wipe out the entire hellhound breed. But Light calms him down since he's okay. And furthermore, it's time to put their plan into motion. And that's how the hunt for revenge starts. And right there, our episode ends. But stay tuned to watch more of its episode, and for that, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. Our episode begins with the monster Garu's procession, with his followers through the city center. As their champion, everyone greeted him with overwhelming joy, glorifying him like a king. One of the monsters behind him even offered him his sister's hand in marriage, but Garu paid him no attention, as his current interests were far beyond that. At that moment, Garu spotted a miserable human boy scavenging for food in the trash. Instead of ignoring him, he deliberately walked towards him and struck him with his foot, knocking him to the ground. Garu enjoyed bullying and humiliating the boy, before gathering his crew and heading to a private room. In the room, the followers began to exult and praise Garu, as was their custom. One of them said, "You are a miracle, Garu. You rose from the poor monster district and became the closest candidate for the new leadership." Another added, "Even the current leader recognizes your strength." They asked him how he reached such a position. Garu puffed up with pride and said, "All I do is follow my animalistic instinct, which always guides me to the best traits. Like the mission I took 3 years ago. The requirement was to pretend affiliation with the racial unification group and eliminate a human suspected of possessing mysterious power." He continued coldly, "I didn't care to confirm his death, as his weakness guaranteed his demise after what he suffered. It's best to forget that wretch." Suddenly, the door opened and a very elegant girl entered. It was May. She asked in a calm voice, "Are you Garu? I want to ask you about someone named Light." His men shouted at her, but Garu raised his hand and said, "Leave her. I want to know what she wants." May said, "I am the servant of Mr. Light, and I have come from a distant country searching for him. My master is from a large and noble family, and I have served him for a long time." Garu doubted her words, thinking, "This doesn't align with the search information done by those who hired me. It was never mentioned that he was from a noble family." But the girl's appearance indeed suggested wealth. Garu smiled and said, "All right. What exactly is your request?" May said, "I received news that Mr. Light died in the dungeon about 3 years ago. I want you to take me to the place of his death to pay my respects, and I will give you pure gold in return." Garu smelled treachery, wondering why she would pay so much gold to visit an old place. But when he looked at her, he found her to be just a weak human, so he laughed inwardly and said out loud, "I will help you, not for the money, but because Light was my friend and I want to honor him." May smiled inwardly with cunning, knowing he was lying, and thanked him and expressed her gratitude. After a full month of travel, they finally reached the place of Light's disappearance. However, Garu was planning to attack May and leave her to die the same way Light had died. As soon as they arrived, May knelt on the ground, tears falling, imagining the difficult moments Light endured in the dungeon's darkness. Garu began his performance. The poor fellow was suddenly attacked by a monster and fell into a transfer trap before we could save him. At the same time, his men quietly moved to close the exit, preparing for the attack, but before they could attack, May said in a voice full of rage, "If I had been with Mr. Light from the start, he would not have been betrayed and fallen into the hands of scum like you." Garu froze and stepped back. "How does she know these details of the betrayal?" he yelled at her. "How do you know this? You're a spy." May breathed angrily and said, "How dare you compare me to them? I am Mr. Light's servant, and the penalty for anyone who doubts my loyalty is death." Garu felt a sudden terror. This ordinary human was emitting a terrifying aura that made his animalistic instinct scream to run. May was about to turn into a massacre, but a calm voice came from behind her. "Enough, May. Leave him. He is my prey." But Garu and his men stiffened in place. They hadn't felt anyone approach. When they looked, they found Light standing before them. Garu's eyes widened in disbelief. "Impossible. How is Light alive?" Light looked at him coldly and said, "I came back to take my due with my own hands, Garu." Garu burst out laughing. "You? The weak one? I am now at level 150, and you are at level 15? How will you even touch me?" He believed that killing Light would make him the greatest champion for the leader. Light said calmly, "Don't you want to ask me how I survived?" Garu laughed sarcastically. "Surely this lady rescued you after your transfer." Which was actually true. Garu yelled at his men to attack. 2 of them quickly lunged, but their heads flew off in an instant. The rest of the men froze in terror, unable even to see May as she finished them off. Light said to May calmly, "Thank you, but from here on, I'll take care of everything. Guard the exit, and don't let anyone escape." Garu tried to compose himself and said to his remaining men, "Don't worry, we won't be defeated by a few weak humans." Light laughed and said, "The one who says this is the weakest of you?" Garu snapped, "That's nonsense. Humans are the weakest beings and have no power." Light raised an eyebrow. "Then how are the heads of 2 of your strongest men rolling now?" Garu ignored him. That was their mistake and stupidity, and he yelled, "Let's go for him." They all rushed at once, but Light didn't move. In seconds, he finished them off, one by one, with a single blow. Garu fell to the ground, disbelieving. Light stood over him and said, "Is this your strength? You are nothing. You think you are superior to humans? You are worthless." Garu decided to use his last card. He broke a contract on his neck, and a huge light burst out, revealing a giant Fenrir-type monster, level 500. Garu screamed confidently, This is your end, Light. This monster will wipe you out of existence with a single breath. Light stood before him with strange composure and smiled. Level 500? Still very weak for me. Garou was terrified. Are you insane? It's impossible for you to defeat it. Kneel and beg for mercy. Light said. All right, let me show you the difference. I won't move from my spot. Hit me with your strongest attack. Garou yelled at the monster to attack. The monster moved and unleashed a massive energy, a devastating attack called Killer Beast Howl, capable of destroying an entire fortress. The explosion was terrifying and dust covered the area. Garou laughed maniacally, but when the smoke began to clear, his face froze. Light was standing in his place, without a single scratch or a hair moved. Light said with a quiet, sarcastic tone, "This is the attack you were excited about? It's not even enough to warm the air around me." He looked at the monster and said, "You call this weak creature Fenrir? It's barely a small dog." Light extended his hand and pulled out a magic card. "Now let me show you what a true Fenrir looks like." He opened the card, and a massive vortex appeared, out of which an ancient, gigantic wolf emerged, its eye glowing blue, its power freezing the air. He said, "This is the true monster, level 9000. Garou was paralyzed in his spot. When the wolf looked towards Garou's Fenrir, it took a single breath, and the monster Garou summoned froze instantly and shattered like ice. Garou stood petrified, disbelieving. He said in fear, "This is impossible. What is this monster?" Light said calmly, "Don't worry, it was just a small demonstration. I could have finished your monster with my hand." Then he pointed to the status screen open before him. Garou looked and his face changed, his hand trembling. Light's level was 9999. He screamed in disbelief. "This isn't real. There is no level that reaches this number." He swallowed hard and said with tears and fear, "You can't be Light, you are a devil." Light approached him and said, "Does it matter to you whether I am Light or not? In the end, your fate is the same." Garou completely lost hope, threw down his weapon and fell to his knees, pleading, "Please forgive me, I was following orders. You are the true king of magic, please let me live." Light looked coldly and said, "Before I decide, I have questions you must answer truthfully." Garou agreed immediately. Light said, "First, why did your superiors order you to search for people named the Masters?" Garou was confused. "I don't know who the Masters are. I was following orders." Light said, "Then why, after they confirmed I was not one of them, did they decide to kill me?" Garou said fearfully, "They were orders from above. Your existence must be completely erased, but I don't know the reason." Light was silent for a moment, then looked at Garou's followers and asked them, "Do you know anything about the Masters?" They all replied at the same moment, "Yes, we know." May moved at lightning speed and sliced them all with her sword, saying in a terrifying voice, "The punishment for liars before Light is death." Light looked at Garou and said calmly, "One last question before I decide your fate. If you lie, May knows the truth, and your end will be worse than death." Garou felt frozen. Light said, "Since you have a strong sense, do you think I can win any war against the kings outside the dungeon now?" Garou hesitated and was stressed, but finally said, "With your power, you might win the beginning, but you will lose. You are alone. War is armies and numbers, and in the end you will be defeated." Light smiled, certain of his answer, and said, "You're right. But let me show you something that will change your mind." He extended his hand and pulled out a magic card, and light covered the area. When Garou opened his eyes, he found himself in a huge throne room with many armies before him. He was terrified. Then he saw Light's true army, thousands of fighters in regular ranks. Light walked toward the throne and said loudly, "Display your levels." The soldiers showed their energy. Garou was paralyzed when he saw the numbers. Most of them were above level 5000, and the weakest was 1500. He stammered, "The whole level is above 5000. Even the weakest of them is stronger than all our soldiers," Light said confidently. "And now, Garou, after seeing my army with your own eyes, do you still think a war against the kings is impossible?" Garou could not reply, his face twisted with fear. He said, "You won't just defeat them. You'll make a shawarma out of them too." Light smiled coldly. "I was sure of that. Now that you've confirmed with your own eyes that victory is easy for me." He approached him, his voice heavy like a devil's echo. "Since you were honest with me, I will reward you for your honesty." Garou's face lit up with hope. "You'll forgive me then," Light chuckled lightly. "Of course, it's impossible for me to forgive you, Garou." Then his tone darkened. "I won't kill you, because killing you is a great mercy. I will make you live, but you will wish for death every moment." And he ordered his soldiers to prepare to go to the surface. So, what is our hero planning, and what is the punishment he has prepared for Garou? If you are excited, champion, for the continuation of the events, don't forget to support us with a like and subscription. The episode begins with Light finally returns home to show his family how successful he has become. He's horrified, however, when he arrives to find that his home has been completely destroyed. Terror overruns his entire body as he realizes that his hometown was decimated by an unknown force during his years of being away. 6 months after this, Light is only able to find a tiny bit of relief because the bodies of his family have yet to be found. They might still be alive, and it's a last hope he can cling to. Light's warrior, named Gold, wants them to find a place to stay. So, another warrior named Nemo must remind him to be nicer since Light is grieving. The two begin to argue because Gold wants to stay at a hotel, but the ninja girl would stay with Light anywhere. Their dispute quickly turns into a juvenile argument about who's more loyal to Light and who would endure the worst environment for their master. Light says that they can worry about lodging later because for now, they need to get information about the war they're about to start. Their goal now is to learn the military strength of each nation in the world. Light can't be sure, but he believes that the destruction of his hometown has something to do with the accusation of him being a maestro. Light is then filled with rage, as he can only wonder why maestros are such a big deal that it could lead to so much bloodshed. He declares that if the world turns out to be filled with crooked evil, then he will have no choice but to burn everything to ashes. The power that flows through him when he's at his angriest strikes fear in his allies, and they suggest that he try to temper himself when he's in public. Light plans to get more aggressive moving forward, so he puts a mask on to hide his identity. He tells the others not to call him Light while on the surface, because up here, he wants to be called Dark. The new name will keep the conquered tribes from learning about him, and he decides to register Dark as an adventurer and raise his rank by doing quests. Getting information is the most important thing right now, and having a higher rank means that he will be able to ask questions to higher level people. On their way, they encounter a family that's being robbed. Gold blows their cover by announcing himself, but the bandits prove to be easy for them to defeat. The family gives them a ride to Dragon City, and they explain that the dungeons there are perfect for someone looking to level up. The quality of the dungeon there is extremely high, and it attracts a lot of adventurers. Light told them that there are newbie adventurers, but after they part ways, the girl wonders if it's normal for newbies to be as strong as them. This is Gold and Nemu's first time on the surface, so they're amazed by all the weapon and armor shops. It's because it's a city for adventures, and the Dwarf Kingdom specializes in blacksmithing. It is said that the majority of aspiring adventurers here are human, and that is proven true as the guild is filled with humans. They seem to be terrified of other races, which makes it clear that humans are treated poorly here, just like everywhere else. A while later, Nemo is furious after her master Dark is given the rank F. Unfortunately, it's a rule for everyone to start that way, but Nemo refuses to accept that. She says that her master Dark is the most powerful human being in all of history, and declares that his rank should be SE, for Super Extra. The humble Light accepts the F rank, however, and he registers successfully. The guy he saved earlier is named Colonel, and he turns out to be the owner of the inn. Light rents out the entire top floor for a month, and he asks that no one step foot inside while they stay there. Colonel refuses to accept payment after Light just saved his life, but Light insists. With that settled, Light uses some detection cards to make sure that there are no items that might spy on them in their rooms. Nu has been wondering about something this entire time, so she points out that Light might get injured with this huge goal of his. He could very easily stay at his castle and just order his warriors to carry out his orders. Light becomes furious at the thought of him not carrying out his revenge with his own hands, and Nemo very quickly realizes her mistake. Light's overwhelming thirst for revenge causes the entire building to shake, and Nemo apologizes profusely. Gold admires how Light wants to handle this himself, and Light acknowledges that Nemo was just looking out for his safety. Light apologizes for letting his anger get the best of him, but Nemo shows her remorse by kissing his foot. Many leaders in this world force their followers to do this, but Light hates it. It's too embarrassing in his eyes, but Gold says that he's kind of into it. The next day, Light notices how lively the shops are, which makes it clear that the dungeon must be as good as advertised. The people are amazed by Gold's armor, but they also notice Light's mask, and Light wonders if it makes him stick out too much. There is a huge line to get into the dungeon, but Gold notices that there are no elves. This makes sense though, because the elves and dwarves are currently feuding over who has claimed the dungeon. Light gets uncomfortable by how close Nemo is to him, but she says that this is her way of protecting him. Just then they notice 3 mysterious people in hoods as they cut the line. However, the person at the front carries himself with incredible sharpness despite the giant and obviously heavy weapon that he carries. Some adventurers are too terrified to say anything, but Light isn't, and he reminds the stranger that cutting in line is against the rules. The guy is furious, as he can't believe that Light doesn't know him. But Light doesn't care, and stands by what he said. His warriors join in with some insults as Nemo wonders if these guys are too dumb to know how lines work, and this makes the guy really angry. He refuses to be spoken to that way by some disgusting humans, but his servant reminds him to restrain himself so they don't cause a scene. This guy is obviously very strong, as his servant reminds him that using his sword would be going way overboard. They decide to just go to the back of the line, so all the adventurers around Light how amazing that was. The other group apologizes for not saying anything out of fear of starting a fight, and they're grateful for Light being there. They can't help but wonder if Gold's armor is made of real gold, but Nemo hits them with some reality, as she says that it's fake. Gold is too malleable to be used in armor, so the adventurers apologize for such a silly question. Gold uses this color as more of a symbol to express his dedication to being a knight. The adventurers can tell that this is their first time at the dungeon, because they didn't come fully prepared. The first floors are incredibly large, so many people camp inside for days, but Light's group doesn't have any camping equipment. Light realizes that they have become accustomed to carrying everything in his item box. So, Nemo wonders if they should carry some fake luggage to make them look normal. So it's their turn to enter the dungeon, and Light is amazed by how unique dungeons are. They are very mysterious, and learning their true purpose would require a deep analysis of the dungeon core. It would probably be impossible to learn everything about them, and Light is sure that Ellie wouldn't even be able to do it. Dungeons are filled with mana that gets stronger the deeper down they go, and that power gives birth to a variety of monsters and traps. The possibilities are endless, and dungeons can even be like their own world. This dungeon's incredibly beautiful, and Gold doesn't sense anyone nearby, so he says that Light can use some of his cards. Light uses some cards that conceal their presence and allows them to fly so they can easily make their way through the dungeon. Light never ceases to amaze Nemo with his abilities, because he also had a card called Clairvoyance that shows him the fastest route to the next floor. All of his abilities make things too easy and boring sometimes, but it saves him a bunch of time. Meanwhile, the guy from earlier is still angry about being talked down to, and he unleashes his anger by using his giant sword to take out some orcs. He says that he's the youngest and most elite warrior among the Elven Kingdom's White Knights, and he calls himself a genius. His name is Kaido, and he declares that he's a legendary hero who single-handedly took the life of a maestro. His servant, named Yanok, reminds him that their goal is to defeat the trolls in the lower floors, but this infuriates Kaido. He explains that these orcs insulted him by challenging him, and no one is allowed to do that because he's the literal descendant of a maestre. He blames his low level for people thinking they can challenge him, but Yanok doesn't think that level 1500 is low. He's well beyond the typical max level for elves. But Kaido's rage and ego don't let him accept this. Kaido declares that he will become stronger so he can bring punishment to those that disrespect him. Yanok feels the same way, as they have both been exiled. Yanok was cast out because of his banned research, but he promises to put that research to good use for Kaido. Deep down, Kaido knows that he can't trust Inuk, so he plans to dispose of him after he helps him level up. Elsewhere, Light and his group finish up eliminating some giant trolls. They only need to provide the guild proof that they made it down to the 3rd floor so he can rank up. So they collect some gems from the beasts and call it a day. On their way back, they notice that the group from earlier is in battle. These guys work together to take out some goblins, and they're surprised when Light's group appears out of nowhere. Light actually saved them from being attacked by a dangerous snake, and he reminds them that while they did a good job in battle, they can never let their guard down. They all show their appreciation, but our heroes become very serious as they realize that something is coming. Some terrifying wolves appear out of the woods, but they shouldn't be in this area. Monsters this strong should only be deep in the forest. So, the group of kids think they should run. Light explains that the wolves are not the real problem, and the group is stunned when the wolves run right past them. The kids are terrified as the real danger rapidly approaches and it turns out to be a giant mantis monster. Thanks for watching my recap. The rookie leader doesn't understand how this could be happening since that species was supposed to have been exterminated 10 years ago. He tells Mia to attack with magic to throw the mantis off balance and buy them time to escape. But since the kids want to run away, Black asks to hunt the creature with his group. Gold says that a hit from that thing must really hurt, and Nemu guesses it must be around level 500. The boys' leader thinks fighting that thing is a death sentence, and that the only way out is to get away as fast as possible. But Gold charges at the insect and starts a duel against it. After realizing it wouldn't be easy to get close to the enemy in melee, Dark casts fire arrows to attack from a distance. But the quad-blade mantis reflects the flames back at the caster, almost causing serious damage. The rookie quartet is sure this is the end. So, the leader asks Mia to use another spell, but the girl is completely amazed that the hooded sorcerer can cast attack magic without chanting, and she can't understand how no one else seems to care about it. Her companion doesn't know what that means, but he knows they need to react quickly. Laughing at the situation, Gold promises to teach the boys how a knight should wield his weapons on the battlefield, which basically means attacking with the sword and defending with the shield. For example, when attacked, the Golden Knight raises his shield and completely breaks the mantis's claw. Then, teaching the boys step by step how to succeed, he explains that after destabilizing the opponent, you must strike with your sword at the right moment. Since battles are always about technique and creativity, Dark follows up with more fire arrows. The mantis reflects them again, but this time they recalculate their trajectory and hit the insect's back, taking full control of the projectiles. The mage is able to manipulate the fight as he pleases. Mia is stunned that this guy can control 30 fire arrows at once, while Dark destroys the mantis' other claw and decides to finish the fight once and for all. However, realizing it's about to die, the insect itself turns around and tries to flee as fast as it can. Dark acknowledges the monster's intelligence in trying to escape, but today isn't its lucky day. With a wall of fire card, the gacha player raises a barrier that blocks its escape, leaving Mia even more impressed by what she's seeing. The quad-blade mantis spreads its wings to fly away, so Nemu leaps into action with a huge jump. As she approaches the target, she strikes a blow that shatters the mantis into pieces. The assassin strikes a victory pose to receive applause from the group, but Gold complains that she ruined the best parts of the monster and now they can't sell it anymore, driving the woman into despair. While Dark forgives his subordinate, the rookie quartet wonders who these people even are. Shortly after, Gimra finds the magic gem of the quad-blade mantis, and Dark sees it as a chance for them to level up. The boys' leader asks if the trio is part of some famous S-rank adventurer group or something like that, but Dark says they're all rank F, which blows the kid's mind. Mia conjures a water sphere so the adventurers can wash their hands. Gold says his armor is still clean and shiny as always, while Dark humbly thanks her kindness and washes up. The rookie leader replies that they owe them much more than that for all the help they received. So, since night is falling and the place could get dangerous, he invites the trio to camp with them for the night in the forest, even though they only have a simple tent and basic food to offer. He also admits that Mia's dying to talk to Dark about magic, which is written all over her face. So, everyone gathers to spend the night together. After setting up the camp and lighting a fire, they sit down to eat. Hearing Dark's story, Mia realizes that the boy's talent comes from his parents, who are also sorcerers. The boy praises her abilities, but she sees herself as far from good enough since she can't cast spells without chanting, much less tactical class ones. Her brother admits he's confused since he doesn't understand why that's so important. So she explains impatiently that there are 3 classes of spells. Combat spells such as Fire Arrow and Ice Blade are effective against a single target, while tactical spells are useful for hitting a much larger area. Finally, strategic spells are powerful enough to cause a global impact, like tsunamis, earthquakes, and meteors, but they require a whole group of mages accumulating mana and reciting to cast them for Draconidants, elves, dark elves, and demons. Casting advanced spells is easy, but not for humans. Even so, this guy Dark goes against everything that's ever been said and simply does what no other human has ever been able to do before, which certainly makes him not just epic, but legendary. Gold and Nemu completely agree, while the boy looks visibly embarrassed. Likewise, the girl's brother forces a nervous smile and asks her to tone it down a bit. He admits he doesn't know much about spells, but he can confidently say that Lord Dark is a good person. He also points out that Mia is talented enough to earn a recommendation to the Magic Academy of the Douche, and that she'll surely be able to cast tactical class spells one day. Lord remembers that the Duque is the nation created by all races, the Principality of the Nine, and Gold guesses that the girl must be incredibly gifted to have been invited to the most prestigious magic academy in the world. Her brother explains that they lost their parents during an epidemic, so she never had the means to attend, and that's why they formed an adventure group with their childhood friends Gimra and Wordy to make a living. Despite everything, the team's goal is to earn enough money by exploring dungeons to fund Mia's admission to the Magic Academy of the Douche. Mia feels honored to have such valuable friends by her side, but she asks them not to do anything crazy just to help her with that. Dark observes the beautiful relationship between the siblings, which reminds him of his own little sister. With that in mind, he points out that the group will be able to achieve their goals, especially after seeing how talented Mia is. Embarrassed, the girl thanks him for the compliment while her brother asks what made the trio want to become adventurers. With his head down, Dark says that his parents died in a fire. Nemu adds that this incident left Lord Dark with terrible burns, and now they need to find a potion strong enough to heal those wounds, while Gold completes by saying that they owe a lot to that boy's parents, and that's why they are traveling with him. Inconvenient and impulsive as always. Gimra asks if Gold and Nemu are some kind of item or if they are a couple. The assassin replies that she would never go out with a yellow can, and the knight says that he's only interested in mature maidens who can recognize his golden aura. Since the girl is single, Gimra invites her out, but the woman says that her heart belongs exclusively to Lord Dark. Meanwhile, even in the middle of the night, Kaido keeps active and takes down a gigantic ogre in the forest. Yenok praises his companion's victory, but Kaido believes that his sword, Grandius, is a legendary weapon of prestige, meaning it shouldn't be wasted on vermin like that. Yanok insists that collecting some parts of these monsters is important for his research, because that way, he'll one day be able to surpass the growth limit imposed on each race. The next step is to obtain the primary material for the research humans about that. Kaido can't wait to begin the hunt. Days later, the guild receptionist is delighted with the amount of gems Dark brought, and the woman's excitement was such that it drew the attention of all the adventurers, who started whispering about that extraordinary feat. Mainly because rumors had already spread that they were the group responsible for defeating a quad-voice mantis, which earned them the nickname Black Melee. Nemu explains that that's why she had said Lord Dark deserved an S rank right from the start. Ignoring in the woman, the receptionist promises a premium meal for the mage while he waits for the sale to be completed. After they leave the guild, Gold jokes that that little bird must be singing a sweeter melody after today, while Nemu remains angry because no one gives her master the recognition he deserves. As they walk through the streets, the three are recognized as the ones responsible for killing a quad-voice mantis, to the point that two men approach them to ask if they really are the Black Millie, since that's how everyone is calling them. Nemu steps in front of her master and asks what the strangers want with him, but the men promise they don't want any trouble and introduce themselves as Suvalin and Gilbert. Suvalin explains that from what he's heard, Dark and his companions killed a mantis and managed to reach the 5th floor of the dungeon. Gilbert says that's an exaggeration, since it took the two of them years to not even get close to that, so Nemu brings her knife close to the man's neck and asks if he's calling Lord Dark a liar. While he tries to explain, Gold wants to know what they want. Suvalin says they're just trying to be nice and that many humans in the city have greatly admired the Black Melee since their feat proves that humans can compete with other races. In fact, it would be great if Dark and his companions could teach a lesson to those who think otherwise and put them in their proper place. In the middle of this, the rest of the men's group calls them for an activity, so Suvalin and Gilbert leave. After hearing those guys' words, people from other races comment among themselves about how humans always say the stupidest things, and that this talk about having defeated a quad-voice mantis is probably pure lies. Since it's easier for Palmas to win a world championship than for a human to cast a tactical spell without an incantation, not really caring about that widespread gossip, Dark and his companions fly toward the Dagger Dungeon in search of the 5th floor. But, on the way, they meet the boys group, so they land to talk with them since it's been a few days since they last spoke. According to their leader, it's a great time for them to show up since Mia has something to deliver, full of embarrassment as a way of thanking them for everything. The mage gives Dark an ointment for burns that she learned to make from her grandmother before she passed away. It's not something that will make the scars disappear, but it will certainly help with the pain. In return, the boy draws a card from which he conjures a bracelet to give to the girl, which makes her just as grateful as he is. At night, flying toward their destination, Nemu asks if it was really a good idea for her master to give Mia an ultra-rare wish bracelet, since it doesn't seem like a fair trade for a bit of ointment. About that, Dark thinks the accessory looked great on the girl. Gold points out that that item can grant small miracles if the user's wish is strong enough and believes his master chose that bracelet carefully for the girl, which is the attitude of a true gentleman. Because of that, he teases Nemu, saying she should be less materialistic and more spiritual. When they arrive at the 5th floor of the dungeon, Dark sends his two companions to hunt the Yetis they need, then activates a teleportation card to return to the Abyss throne room, where he is happily welcomed by his elite warriors. Later, while being served tea by May, the master is asked how things are going, and he replies that it has been great, being an adventurer for a change of pace to make some friends and see more of the world. He asks if there's any news regarding the revenge plan, and Ellie assures him that everything will be in order soon. Satisfied with the mage, the master praises her, and also keeps May in charge of the Abyss during his absence. When he says that Ayuki must continue scouting the ancient forest, Mizuna excitedly asks what she should do. Knowing that she's too clumsy to deal with complex plans, the boss only asks her to keep everyone safe in the meantime. Once everything is ready, Dark can hardly wait to enjoy the miserable face of Sasha, at night in the Dungeon of Daggers. While the other companions sleep, Suvalin and Gilbert find it strange that the third floor is so bright since it's usually covered in mist. Changing the subject, Suvalin asks what his partner thinks about the Black Mallet. Knowing that the masked man, according to rumors, defeated the Quadriphus Montes with tactical magic without using any incantation. If that's true, Gilbert believes that magician might be a legendary knight or an ancient hero reincarnated. Suvalin really hopes that's the case, since humans need a champion to raise the morale of their race, as they are deeply despised by society. Having said that, he leaves to take a leak. When he returns, the man finds Gilbert's head cut off on the ground, killed by Kaido the elf with the enormous sword, who also slaughtered the rest of the group. With each moment, the elf despised humans as if they were insects, not even worth the time it takes to kill them. Since they were in a swamp, such a wet and sticky terrain, Suvalin thinks his friends should have heard the enemy's arrival. But the strangest thing is that Gilbert's head was taken off without any sign of struggle, which makes him believe that the elf must have used some kind of special magic to provoke an uncontrolled reaction from the human. Kaido stomps on Gilbert's head several times, but given the situation, Suvalin realizes that this enemy is far too much for him, so he plans to escape and report what happened to the Adventurers Guild. With that in mind, he throws a smoke bomb and runs, trusting the advantage of not being seen in a territory he knows like the palm of his hand. However, to his surprise, the man is hit by something and falls to the ground with a wound on his forehead. When he looks back, he sees Kaido floating on a magic platform, while Yanok suddenly appears and strikes his back with his staff, knocking him out. Yanok points out how cowardly that human was for running away after seeing his friends dead, and also complains that Kaido killed all of them except one, which is far from enough for their research, since every experiment can only be completed through countless failures. In other words, he will need many more people. Kaido promises to be more careful next time, but warns in advance that he will exterminate any human who dares to raise a sword against him. Excited about the future, Yanuk is eager to show humans the only role that worms like them can play in the great theater of life. Check out these videos appearing on your screen and subscribe so you don't miss the next. An ordinary guy suddenly finds himself transported to another world, along with a group of heroes. But while everyone else gains incredible powers, he's given a skill that seems completely useless in battle. So he decides to ditch the whole save the world thing and set off on a carefree journey full of adventures and cooking. The episode begins in the forest, where spiders are lurking, ambushing a wild rabbit. The wolf Makuta intervenes, blasting them with an electric shock that drops them one after another. Makuta finally appears and comments that they are foolish hairy spiders. He asks what they should do with them since they gathered so many. The wolf, Field, replies, "I don't know, but the poisonous tarantula shell is too tough to eat." Makuta is surprised. What? Are these spiders even edible in the first place? I think it's disgusting. Finally, Sue emerges from his hiding spot and says, "Is it over? I want to play." Makuta tells him, "Come on, my friend Sue, come out now, the coast is clear and everything is fine." The wolf gets angry and says, "Why do you always speak to Sue in such a friendly and lovely way, but you never speak to me?" Makuta looks at him with a puzzled expression and says, "How so? I talk and listen to you too, Field. Have you forgotten? Every day you tell me you want to eat this and that. I want meat. No, I don't want vegetables. No, I want a hot drink. Who does all that for you, Field, you silly wolf?" Field, now agitated, replies, Fine. Go prepare my meal then. I've been lying down all day with you two on my back. I need to eat a good meal. You should be grateful for the chance to ride on the back of a legendary magical beast like me." Before they leave, Makuta reconsiders. He activates his magical satchel and collects all the spiders, saying, maybe they'll be useful later. About half an hour into their journey, he ponders, what should we eat today? He sets up a table and brings out meat, but they eventually decide on eating gyoza. First, they need to get some gyoza wrappers and spices from the online store. He activates the store, and they buy everything in a matter of seconds. The delivery box arrives, filled with the purchased items, possibly ketchup, mayonnaise, and other secret ingredients. He then prepares the cilantro and vegetables. The vegetables are chopped, and then he adds some ginger and garlic paste to the ground meat. He also adds some soy sauce, sake, chicken stock powder, and finally sesame oil, salt, and pepper. Since you can't taste raw meat while seasoning, they have to add the ingredients carefully. Next, he kneads and kneads until everything sticks together. Then he adds the Japanese chives and the cabbage, which was salted and squeezed to remove moisture, mixing them well for 3 minutes. After that, they take the filling in the dough and wrap it like a stuffed grape leaf, trying to add a little less filling. Sue tries a piece and finds it very delicious. They arrange the gyoza and cook them over a steady medium heat. As soon as the color starts to change, he adds a water solution and covers the pan. After a quarter of an hour, he adds sesame oil, and finally, the finished product appears. The fully seasoned gyoza is ready. What do you think, dear viewers? Let me know in the comments if your mouth is watering. I added plenty of spices to the filling. It should taste delicious on its own. He serves it to Field and Sue, noting that adding some chili oil and soy sauce is also great. Field eats it and finds it truly wonderful. The meat and its juices burst in his mouth as he bites into it. The crispy skin and the meat are truly delicious. They continue eating, wanting another serving. Finally, Makuta eats his own creation and drinks a soda. Suddenly, he is greatly shocked when he finds a small red dragon clinging to his face. He screams, "Help me! Help me!" The dragon flies in front of him. Field assesses the situation and says, "What is this?" "It's a very rare Bekshi dragon. It wants food." Makuta offers it some food, and the dragon tastes it happily, devouring it in seconds and wanting more. Field warns him, don't underestimate this dragon. It's small, but very powerful. These creatures are fast and truly skilled in all kinds of magic. The dragon looks at Makuta strangely, flies, and does something, then says, this food is so delicious, give me another meal. Makuta is stunned that it can talk. The dragon then adds, I don't mind becoming a contracted companion if I can eat delicious food like this. Makuta is nearly speechless that the dragon speaks just like them. Tell me, dragon, will you become a contracted companion just to get some food? Are you serious? You should reconsider. The Bekshi dragon replies, your food is the most delicious food I've ever tasted in my life. It's simple. Now I can eat even more delicious food if I stay with you. Field tells him that entering a contract with a human for a few decades is not a great loss for us. Then, the dragon speaks to Makuta again and tells him, the first thing you must do now, as my master, is to give me a special name. Makuta thinks, then says to him, how about Dora-chan? The other one gets angry and says to him, are you kidding me? Give me a proper name. Don't treat me like a child. I'm a grown dragon, 116 years old. But the name has already been decided on the list. Then Field tells him, don't expect anything from this detestable human. He gave me names before that all made me angry for some reason, and in the end, he named me Field. Then the dragon gets along with Sue very easily, bouncing on him as if he were a sponge or a spring that lifts him up. After that, the scene moves to the Adventurers Guild, where the receptionist girl says to him, welcome. Your familiar has been successfully registered. I never expected the day would come when I would register a dragon as someone's familiar. It's very strange. But listen closely. Our guildmaster has a request for you. He asked her, why me? At that moment, the guildmaster, Rodolfo, arrives and says to him, are you Makuta? Pleased to meet you, you idiot. This must be your Bekshi dragon. I've heard of them before, but never expected to see one in person. Makuta approaches them and says, what do you want, manager? The manager gets straight to the point and wants to offer him a quest. Yes, it's about exploring the forest. The forest has been acting strange lately. It's not even mating season, but the monsters have become more aggressive. Makuta asks him, well, why doesn't everyone just avoid the forest? The other one gets angry and says to him, we can't do that. The spider webs released by the insect monsters that live in that forest are the raw material we need to manufacture our town's high-quality textile. The town's trade will suffer if we lose the source of our raw materials. The town's trade will suffer if we lose the source of our raw materials. Can you help us with this? Makuta thought he couldn't take on such a dangerous mission and enter that forest. However, the dragon tells him that the northern forest is very easy, full of spiders that are very weak creatures. Suddenly, Makuta realizes that this is the very forest they were in just a moment ago, where they eliminated all the spiders that crossed their path. Field confirms, we took care of all of them with my lightning magic. The guildmaster can hardly believe it. Makuta pulls out one of the dead spiders from his supply gate, stunning the guildmaster, who is amazed he acquired it so instantly. Field interjects that he launched his attack in anger and punished it. Makuta apologizes, saying he didn't know these monsters were valuable to the guildmaster's town. But the chief doesn't just want them dead. He wants them because their meat is delicious, and these monsters have a great ability to reproduce. We often organized subjugation teams to deal with them, he explains. Makuta then pulls out all the spiders from his magical gate. The chief thanks him profusely, saying this is the first time a problem has been solved, even before he finished making the request to Makuta. He mentions that the poisonous spider shells and webs fetch a lot of money, and their meat is delicious when boiled in salt water. All of Makuta's animal friends are delighted and want to try the meat. Makuta asks the guildmaster to sell the shells and webs on the condition that he process the meat for them. The chief agrees. I will process the meat specifically so that it can be eaten immediately. After that, Makuta and his friends go to the market to check it out and buy some high-quality, cheap clothes. Makuta starts examining the clothes and finds the fabric quality to be amazing. The merchant appears and assures him that he won't be able to buy this cloth for such a cheap price in other towns. Field states that all clothes look the same, making Makuta angry. You don't care because you have fur to cover you, but I have my needs. Makuta buys some of the cloth and goes back to the chief, hoping the processing is finished. Indeed, he returns to the chief and finds he has finished processing the spiders. The meat has been separated and looks like crab. The chief explains that it tastes very sweet after boiling. Makuta eats a piece and finds it very appetizing, tasting like crab, but even better. Everyone gathers around, wanting to eat. Makuta prepares fried rice with lots of minced spider meat, a salad, and a crab omelet. He will also prepare meatballs if he has time, all to celebrate Dora-chan, the great dragon. Everyone starts eating. Field says that the crab omelet perfectly combines the richness and sweetness of the poisonous spiders with the softness of the egg and a sweet and salty sauce, which is also delicious with the rice. They all eat happily. Dora-chan is seen eating the hot food, as the fried spring rolls are very hot. Makuta roasts some more of the crab on the stove. It's not actually crab, but it closely resembles roasted crab. Field smells a different aroma from the food they were eating, rushes to Makuta and says, "You're hiding food from us. It smells so delicious." Everyone crowds around, wanting to try the food he is preparing. He offers them some, and they find it to be the most delicious food they have ever eaten, nearly melting in their mouths. Dora is very happy and says, "Thank goodness I met a cook like you. I have indeed heard a lot about you and searched a lot until I found you." In the evening, they return home and head to the warm bath, enjoying it. Makuta and Sue wished Field and Dora would join them, but they see them lying down. Dora says, "I can't eat another bite," and their stomachs are full. Makuta tells them that this happens often after eating crab. Makuta goes to bed as it was a very difficult day. "I will go to the guild tomorrow and deliver the shells to the guildmaster Rodolfo. I feel like I forgot something, but I'll sleep now. In the morning, Makuta delivers the shells to the chief, who is very happy with them. He also offers him some of the spider meat they hadn't eaten, telling him he has more. He opens his magical gate and storage to pull out more. He finds a giant earth dragon's head right in his face. The huge, troublesome prey that Field had hunted before. I kept it stored, but I should do something about it, he thinks. He then tells the chief, I heard there's someone who knows a lot about dragons in Dolan. Do you know who it might be? The chief replies, I have an idea. Makuta says, I was hoping to find someone who could process this thing. The chief is astonished. It's the first time he's seen a giant earth dragon in person. I heard you could buy a whole kingdom with one of those. Field boasts that it was no match for him, and the chief compliments him, saying he is very strong. The chief then hands Makuta a piece of paper with the address of the person who knows a lot about dragons. Makuta thanks him profusely. After that, they intend to head to Dolan. This concludes our episode. Wait for us in future episodes of this wonderful anime. Please subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all that is new. Our episode today begins with the great Makoto and the beautiful wolf, standing on the outskirts of the great country of Dolan. It's a very large city with a huge dungeon. Sui takes out the bag and says, Sui wants to venture into that dungeon. I am ready for the adventure with bated breath. Then the dragon also comes and says to him, don't worry about the dungeon now. Shouldn't we process the earth dragon's meat first? We want to eat this meat, so they set off at rocket speed and finally reach the city limits. The walls were very high and they saw a large queue at the main gate of the city. But they must stand in this queue and show their guild card, or they will never enter that city. The wolf asks, wouldn't it be faster to jump over the walls? Makoto informed him, you idiot. If we do that, we will be instantly registered, and if we can't enter the city, we won't be able to process the meat you love. The wolf gets angry and says, well, there's nothing we can do. They indeed line up in the queue, but people are astonished and say, what are these large creatures and that rare small red dragon? At that moment, the soldiers see them and ask, what is all this commotion? Who are you? Makoto replied, we are visitors from another country and wish to enter this city. I am officially registered with the guild, and he shows them his guild card. When the soldiers looked at it, they found that it was indeed not fake. At that moment, a strange man arrives and says to them, a moment please. Then he informs them that this man is his guest. I am sure he has two rare accompanying creatures beside him. Makoto asks him, who are you? Are you Elant? He recognizes him and knows that he is indeed that long-eared elven man. Yes, my friends, he is the guild master of the city of Dolan himself, but when he looked at the little dragon, he was greatly shocked. At that moment, he takes them and hosts them in his private office. Makoto is very happy because he won't have to wait in that very long, wide queue. At that moment, he brings this strange thing and says to the dragon, please sit here. It was an object made of wood, infused with mana. I heard that pixie dragons only sit on this type of wood. After that, we see the guildmaster very excited, taking notes, and then he offers them tea. Meanwhile, the dragon offers him the flower nectar infused with mana. He was very fond of it and says, it's truly great, will you sell it to me? But Makoto told him, I don't sell anything. He is a friend of mine, and he wants me and no one else. Island said, fine, let's go to the warehouse and start the processing immediately. The meat processing, I mean. They indeed arrive at the warehouse, and when he opens the door, he is shocked to find a man named Agor, who informs him that he has a meeting with the Merchants Guild this afternoon. The guildmaster asks him, can we cancel that meeting? But Agor gives him a strange look that shocks him without speaking. However, Makoto speaks and apologizes to Agor, and the meeting time is indeed postponed. Then Island puts on the gloves and says, come on, show me the sample. I have been waiting for this day with bated breath for over 200 years. Before I joined the guild, I retired from being an adventurer and took up the position of guildmaster, hoping that I would bring out an earth dragon. But unfortunately, I never got the chance, and now the opportunity has come before my eyes. Come on, bring out what you have, Makoto. And indeed, he brings out that very great dragon, and the guildmaster is shocked and says, oh, the splendor. It is truly a giant earth creature. I can't believe myself. I can't believe that I will be able to discover the insights of this dragon at my leisure. But I am very expert in such things. Then he said, first, we must record a complete record of this great achievement. He measures it with a meter, inch by inch and centimeter by centimeter, body length, internal organs, number of fangs, bite size, everything in detail. Then Makoto calls out to him, listen to me carefully. This dragon next to you, I've confirmed that its diet is not the flower nectar you gave it. What does it usually eat? He informed him. First, this dragon's name is Dora. As for food, it eats anything. I don't think it has a specific dietary ability or restrictions. We all eat the food I prepare for them, like meat and vegetables. The guildmaster was very shocked. And then Dora the dragon says to Makoto, who understands his language well, they eat anything, but the main meal is meat. The guildmaster is surprised more and more and says, what's the story? Is he talking to him or what? And how does he understand his language? Makoto explains the matter to him. He usually talks to me through telepathy. The guildmaster is shocked and grabs him, saying, what? What? This is the first time I've heard of telepathy in my long elven life. What are you saying, man? Tell me the details of all this immediately. Then the wolf speaks to him and says, listen, you pampered boy. Be careful to cook the meat well and bring it out for us in the right way, the guildmaster informed him. Not only that, but the dragon's parts, such as the skin and blood, are very valuable materials that everyone strives to obtain. The wolf informed him that he is not interested in such things. They are worthless compared to the deliciousness of the dragon meat. He is shocked even more and says, what? What? Will you eat the earth dragon? When he looked at Makoto, he said, why are you surprised, guildmaster? We will all eat it together. He grabs his hand and says to him, crying, please, allow me to taste the earth dragon also. I don't mind giving up my share. Please, please. Makoto told him, actually, Phil is the one who decides this matter, referring to the large wolf. The wolf comes and says to him, "Listen carefully, Elant. If you can process the dragon meat correctly, I don't mind you sharing a small portion with us." Elant thanks him greatly. The scene shifts to the morning. Makoto and his group were sleeping on the floor and talking about the dragon. He says, "I am so hungry that I am about to die. I am starving, my lord. We must eat this meat today or I will do strange things." Sui was also hungry. Everyone is tired and ready to eat, but where is the food? Makoto thought and said, "Let's eat something from the internet grocery." The wolf asks, "Is there Wagyu? I want to eat it." He told him that they are holding a keto exhibition, which is a place in Makoto's world that has truly delicious food. "We will get food from there today. We need some Genghis Khan, which is meat that has already been marinated." They also have a set that comes with the beautiful pot, the delicious, well-stewed bean pot. "And let's also get some pre-cut vegetables. We might add that souvenir too." In just moments, the box is sent immediately. It's a great thing. Everyone is truly amazed. Then he gets the gear, takes out the stove and starts the heating process in this pot without oil. After that, he adds the meat to the center of the pot and pours the sauce around it, letting it boil. We flip the meat when we see the sauce starting to form large bubbles. Lamb and mutton are the tastiest when we don't overcook them. After finishing, he serves it to everyone. The wolf sniffs it but finally tastes it and finds it very delicious. As for the dragon, he says, "This meat is so tender. I have never eaten anything this delicious before." After eating, each of them went to sleep. Makoto said, "It was an exhausting day, but everything succeeded in the end. The online supermarket saved me today, and I got it as a souvenir before." He holds some sweets, and Sui wakes up, wanting to try some. He eats one and finds it very delicious. Everyone wakes up and comes to taste these delicious sweets as well. He hands each of them a piece, and they find it incredibly tasty, melting in their mouths. Then Phil wants another piece because the size is too small for him. Everyone asks for the same. In the end, he gives them all the remaining sweets, and they are extremely happy. After a while, Makoto and his friends leave, showing signs of fatigue as they haven't slept. They head to the guild, where the Vice Guildmaster receives them. Makoto asks him about Aelin's condition with the Earth Dragon. At that moment, the Guildmaster comes out and says, "I am extremely excited now. I spent the entire night measuring, analyzing, and studying all aspects. Signs of fatigue and lack of sleep are visible in his eyes. He says, I am productive like this in my elven life." Makoto is happy then. Afterward, the Guildmaster puts on his gloves and begins the processing. But first, he wants to draw blood because he wants to avoid damaging the surface as much as possible. He will use a special knife because the dragon's skin is very tough, so he brought the precious mithril knife belonging to the Adventurers Guild. He then starts using the knife on a piece of skin, and suddenly, the knife breaks. He and everyone else are terrified because this knife is a guild treasure. According to the records, Mithril should easily be able to cut the skin of this dragon. The Guildmaster says, "We must bring a knife stronger than this material, stronger than Mithril, and we must bring it quickly." Phil is very anxious because he wants to eat the meat quickly. Makoto informs them that it cannot be processed for some time. Phil is shocked then and collapses to the ground, unconscious, saying, "We traveled all this distance to enjoy the dragon meat?" The Vice Guildmaster informs them, "Our guild does not possess another mithril knife. We might be able to get some mithril ore from the dungeon." Phil immediately stands up, his spirits lifted, and says, "This will be a perfect opportunity to vent this frustration." But Makoto informs him that the leader is exhausted today, so they must rest. However, Phil is determined to go to the dungeon. Makoto tries to stop him, but to no avail. Phil says to him, "There's no need for you to accompany me. I can bring some of this ore myself." But in the end, Makoto convinces them not to go today, as they will attract attention, and then they won't be able to travel and eat delicious food, and there will be a big problem. Then he informs them that it is time for food. They all rejoice. Our cook, Makoto, begins preparing the ingredients. He starts by frying some sliced orc meat and adds some vegetables. We can use the vegetables we didn't use in the Genghis Khan pot in the previous meal I prepared a moment ago. Then he adds some sauce to the meat with these vegetables for a while, and also some garlic paste to add some depth, as well as sesame oil. Phil says, "It smells so good. The garlic and sesame oil make it very appetizing." Makoto serves them the dish after it is ready, and he adds an egg on top of each plate to make it more appetizing. They start eating, and the food's aroma and taste are very delicious. They all rejoice. Makoto says, "Praise be to God, I managed to distract them from exploring the dungeon. Nevertheless, we must do something about processing the meat." The scene then shifts to some goddesses who are arguing among themselves. Then some gods appear to them. They are shocked, because the goddesses are hiding something from them, which is that they are coercing others into giving them gifts and offerings. But they defend themselves and say, "That's not the case. We are not evil." Makoto hears them from another place using remote telepathy. He says to them, "Please confine the disputes among yourselves." The man with the yellow hair says, "I am the god of blacksmithing in this world, Hephaestus." The other says, "I am the god of war, Vahagan." Makoto then asks the god of blacksmithing about the mithril knife. The god of blacksmithing informs him that he can make a high-quality knife from the same mithril ore, but he wants something in return for this. He wants some offerings, and also to grant them his power. Makoto asks them to grant their powers to Phil, Dora, and all his friends. Makoto then notices that Sui has a new skill, the blacksmithing skill. "We should try that when we get the mithril ore." Phil says, "I completely forgot. We have ore from the mithril lizard we hunted in the past." Makoto is surprised when he says that, and indeed remembers that they have this ore from the lizard. He says to him, "You knew we had ore, but despite that you tried to enter the dungeon." Then he takes out this ore and offers it to Sui, asking him, "Can you turn this into the same type of knife that the Guildmaster broke?" Sui attempts to do so and indeed manages to make a knife like it, an enhanced mithril knife, which is very strong. With this, they will be able to cut and process this dragon. And with this, today's episode ends. Wait for us in future episodes of this wonderful anime, The Chef Mukoda. But before that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive everything new. We also hope that those who followed us to the end of this episode will tell us where they are watching us from. Our episode begins when Mukoda was going to the guild official who was supposed to process and adjust the meat for him, but the knife broke. When they went to him, they found him at his desk, very sad. Perhaps he was looking for a mithril blade so he could cut the dragon meat. It seems the shock affected him greatly. Here, Mukoda speaks to the guild official and tells him, actually, there is something I was hoping you would try, and then hands him the wrapped knife. The elven man takes the knife, wanting to try it. He says, I hope it works, and the cutting process begins. Everyone holds their breath, hoping the knife cuts and doesn't break. And indeed, my friends, the surprise was that the knife cut instantly. It was completely different from the previous knife. He was very happy, then he looks at him and says, how did you manage to get such an amazing knife? Mukoda gets flustered and tells him, no, it's just from someone I know. The elven man was very happy, holding the knife and raising it up, saying, finally, I can cut the dragon, and I'll be at ease. This is great work, I will process it. When Mukoda asked him how long it would take, the other person began, saying, I want to investigate every part of it, so I need about 3 days because this is a huge thing, and I don't think the furnace we have is strong enough to handle it. Here, Finn gets angry and tells Mukoda that he can't wait any longer. He wants to eat the dragon meat. Mukoda tells him, you must wait, the prey is too big, what can be done? Maybe we'll explore the dungeon while everything is being processed. Here, Mukoda tells him, no, we won't go, but the dragon comes out and tells him, Fel is right, let's go. I want to see the effect of the blessing I got. It's really strange, my friends. It's not like they are going to an amusement park. Sui also wants to go to the dungeon. They start trying to persuade him to go to the dungeon. Finally, Mukoda agrees and tells them, fine, this is only one time. Everyone is happy and dancing with joy. The scene shifts to the city, specifically to that area where we see those guards, and we see Mukoda and his group talking to the guild receptionist, who tells them, it depends on the adventurer, but usually, once you enter, it can take from 3 days to a month. I know it's a long time, but the dungeon has 30 floors, and no one knows what will happen upon entering. So it is advised to take a lot of food with you. If you intend to go deeper into the dungeon, you will need to prepare suitable equipment, as basically no one has been able to complete this dungeon yet. He said to her, okay, I've changed my mind. I didn't know it would be that difficult. She told him, well, you should take it easy. Then hand him his guild card back. Meanwhile, Fen and the dragon were very angry and told him, we came all this way and we won't enter, you idiot. He told them telepathically, I want to prepare a lot of food. We must have a lot, so be patient. Perhaps you won't be satisfied if we enter the dungeon and eat bad food, he convinces them, and they leave afterwards. They go shopping. People were very surprised and saying, look at those accompanying creatures, they are giant, and what is that great wolf, and he also has a dragon. People are amazed by them in that city, which is one of the 5 largest cities in this kingdom. That vendor calls out to him and says, you, the owner of the wolf, come here and take a look. We have all the fresh vegetables that were harvested today. Mukoda looks at them and says, yes, they are very cheap. I should buy some to take with me. When he asked about a kilo of meat, he found it was for 1 gold coin. Mukoda is surprised because it is very expensive. The man said to him, what are you talking about, man? It's monster meat. It's a luxury commodity. Mukoda then remembers and says, yes, I think the party that was eating with me was devouring it greedily, but in the end, I won't buy meat. Fel and the others can always hunt meat for us. So, I want some of this rolled bread, carrots, and onions. He buys them and leaves. Then he arrives at this oven and finds it's a magic oven with 4 heating elements. The seller comes and says to him, hello, sir, you have a discerning eye. This is the latest model of magic ovens on the market. It is the best thing on the market. I advise you to buy it. Mukoda asked him, what is its firepower? He informed him that it is very high. The merchant then tells him that this oven has carefully selected magic stones, so its heating output is excellent. In addition to that, this oven has achieved the highest sales. This oven is powerful enough to roast an entire cockatrice. Mukoda understands that he probably won't be able to roast monsters with this oven, but it's better than his current one. If he gets it, he'll be able to cook a greater variety of food. He then asks the merchant about the cost, and the merchant tells him it costs 860 gold pieces. Mukoda is shocked by the price. The wolf speaks to him, asking him to buy it because with it they can eat new kinds of delicious meals and also eat more tasty food. Since he has the money to buy it, there's no harm in getting it. Furthermore, this oven uses the same gas cylinders as his portable oven. Mukoda thinks for a moment and agrees to buy it. At night, Mukoda and his familiars return to their accommodation, where Mukoda is able to cook many kinds of food. At that time, Sui comes over and asks him about these pots. Mukoda replies that they are soup pots. They are huge, as he wanted large pots to hold his food, although he wanted a larger size than that but couldn't find them, as they were not available online. He then shows him tonight's dinner and asks him to tell his friends that it's mealtime. Indeed, the wolf and the little dragon come to eat, and they find the food very delicious and appetizing. The next morning, we see Mukoda standing in front of his tools and vegetables, contemplating the food he will cook tonight. He tells himself that even if he is going to cook in the dungeon, he should prepare enough food for 3 or 4 days. He then starts preparing the food. First, he prepares stewed ogre general meat. Second, red wild boar cabbage rolls. And the next dish is fried minced veal and bell peppers, as this dish is quick and easy to prepare. Since there are no leftover spices, Mukoda cooks the delicious food. He is now cooking ogre general meat soup, and after that, wyvern meat stew. Thus, he finishes preparing the food. His familiars get hungry and try to eat the food. Mukoda refuses and tells them that they won't eat any of this now. While Mukoda was cleaning his room, Sui comes to him and gives him a sword. When Mukoda sees it, he is shocked by its beauty. It looks very sharp. He then thanks Sui for the help, as he is no longer worried about the weapon he will use in the dungeon. Afterwards, Willem comes to him to inform him that the Earth Dragon has been fully processed and that he must come to the warehouse. Mukoda agrees to that and asks him to wait a little until he gets ready. Then he closes the door. Willem grabs him and apologizes, saying he cannot stay because the guildmaster does not do any work, so he was very busy. Then the old man rushes off, and Mukoda says to himself, working for that guild must be very tough. After that, Mukoda goes to the warehouse with the wolf. He speaks to the man, saying to him, I was told that the Earth Dragon has been processed. When they see the Earth Dragon's meat like this, they are very surprised. He tells them, this is what is expected from the blood of an exceptional crimson-colored dragon. I want to gaze at it forever. Then Mukoda speaks to him, so you've finished processing the Earth Dragon. Island informs him, I have finished processing it completely and thoroughly. These were the best 3 days in my long life. Regarding that, I would like to buy some materials for the guild. First, I want 2 vials of the Earth Dragon's blood. Dragon blood is used as an ingredient in elixirs and is known as a type of complete antidote. Then, I want half of the liver. It has the same properties as the blood, but its effect is said to be many times stronger. Finally, I want 1 fang. I want to sharpen this to make a dragon sword from it. Please, I want to buy all these items. Then Mukoda says, you want all this? I thought you would buy much more. Eiland replies, no, this amount of materials might lead to the financial collapse of the guild. After long consideration, I concluded that these 4 items would be the total. The total will be 3,800 gold pieces, but now I have brought 380 large gold coins for this deal, and I want you to agree to this. Mukoda is astonished, saying to himself, only a few parts cost all this money? How much will I earn if I sell everything? The wolf speaks to Mukoda, saying, regardless of the vital internal organs and fangs, there is no meat here. You really don't plan on keeping it for yourself? Island reassures him that he has stored all the Earth Dragon meat for him. I said that the meat is the most valuable part in your opinion. They then enter the room. The wolf enters and is surprised when he sees all the meat he wanted, saying, a freezing room preserved with magic ice? Then Island tells him, we collect a lot of meat from dungeon spoils, so a temperature-controlled room is better than a naturally cold room. Then, we see the little slime taking the meat and giving it to Mukoda to store with him. Then Island apologizes to Mukoda, saying, actually, I would like to taste some of the Earth Dragon meat. Mukoda agrees, saying, of course, we made a promise and you succeeded in processing it. Island is happy when he learns this and wants them to go now and eat together at his house. The wolf agrees, saying, that's a good idea. We got the meat. Let's eat the Earth Dragon immediately. Everyone is happy. Then they take Mukoda and rush off, because there is nothing more important than tasting the dragon meat. After that, they arrive at the forest and Mukoda begins to take out all the cooking tools. Then Aelin tells him that he also has toolbox skills. Many elves have high levels of sorcerer. I was a strong warrior who used plant and wind magic with my sword. Plant magic is a characteristic of elves. We are often skilled in pharmacology, and this book was made from a dragon. After that, Mukoda prepares the meat to start cooking. He is very happy because they were able to get this very modern oven. He puts salt on the meat and begins to peel the potatoes and carrots, then slices them. His companions help him peel the onions. He then places the cooking plate on the oven pan and fills the pan with meat and vegetables. After that, he drizzles olive oil over it, adds herbs, and then puts it in the preheated oven for roasting the meat and vegetables. Everyone waits, very eager and excited to taste this delicious meat. Mukoda continues to monitor it until it is cooked and the roasting is finished. After a few minutes, he takes it out of the oven. It looks very well cooked and delicious. Everyone is eager to taste it. Indeed, Mukoda tests it by inserting a small skewer into it and finds that the meat is indeed cooked and ready. He then slices the meat and pours some steak sauce flavored with garlic soy sauce on it because Fel loves it. Thus, the meat and the dish are ready, and the roasted dragon is ready. Everyone is happy and eager, as if they have never eaten before. Mukoda is the first to taste the meat, and he is stunned by how wonderful it is. It is very delicious, and different from veal, chicken, or any meat he had eaten before. Even the meat juices are incredibly tasty. I don't blame Fel for his persistent desire to eat this. Everyone starts eating this very delicious food, and they are happy. Fel says, I haven't had a dragon in a long time, but it's very delicious, as I recall. I have used fire magic to cook its meat before, but it can't even compare to this. This is very different and delicious. I should have hunted 3. Mukoda is happy because they liked it. After that, everyone finishes their plates and asks for another plate. He serves them more. Then Mukoda asks the dragon, Dora, doesn't eating dragon meat make you one of their relatives? Dora tells him, I am a completely different species from earth dragons, and this does not count as cannibalism unless I eat another pixie dragon. The matter becomes clear to Mukoda. Island speaks to himself, crying over the food, saying he is extremely grateful. Tsuyoshi is surprised by him, saying he is crying while eating. Island continues his meal, crying, and says, not only was I able to process a dragon as I always dreamed, but I was even able to taste its meat. Moreover, for the food to be this delicious, Tsuyoshi tells him, there is no need to be this emotional. The wolf speaks. Filling my stomach fills me with energy and vitality. Now I will be able to explore the dungeon at full power. We will enter the dungeon tomorrow. Tsuyoshi speaks to himself, saying, if we are entering the dungeon tomorrow, then I should take care of the offerings today. First, I will go to the sweets page. At that moment, the gods observe him. One of the gods comes and asks them, did you grant that fool a defensive skill? Ninlil replies, I granted him my blessing. One of the gods informs her that she is very reckless. You granted him a modest blessing. There is no guarantee that this blessing can protect that fool. He asks them, what will happen if that person from another world dies by mistake? The other god informs them, you will not be able to get anything from that other world again. Then Ninlil screams, the sweets from the other world must be protected at all costs. Kisarl then says, it would be terrible if I didn't get any beauty products. Agni says, no, my drink, this is unbelievable. The gods then say, that's why I am thinking of granting a skill to the person from the other world. He asks them, is this appropriate? They reply, yes. The scene shifts to Tsuyoshi, who is speaking to the gods, saying, excuse me, are you there? I am about to enter a dungeon tomorrow, so I will offer. The god speaks to him telepathically, saying, fool, I know this is sudden, but I will grant you a skill. Tsuyoshi replies, I don't need one. Please let me send my offerings. The god replies, previously you refused my blessing, and now you repeat it again, but that cannot happen. Well, with this, we will be able to enjoy the drink from the other world for some time. The gods are happy about that. Tsuyoshi asks them, can any of you hear me? Then Tsuyoshi goes to the guild and meets the girl he saw before at the guild in the Dragon Kingdom. She introduces herself, saying, my name is Fianna. He asks her, why are you here in this guild? She replies, the dungeon here has been very busy recently, and the Doland Adventurers Guild requested assistance from other guilds. Tsuyoshi replies to her, I see. So, the guilds are constantly communicating with each other like this. He then speaks to himself, saying, it seems she is still interested in the wolf to the extent that she cannot control herself. She informs him, your registration has been completed now. The scene shifts to Fianna, writing a letter to her sister. She says, dearest, I have started working at the Doland Adventurers Guild. Many people want to slay the receptionists at the guild here, as it is a dungeon city, but only a few have been able to stay for a long time. Business is busy, as we heard, and I don't have time to rest, but I don't want to fail the guildmaster who recommended me, so I'm doing my best. She informs her, I was able to meet the man I thought I would never see again. He was very handsome and fluffier than before. Her sister is happy for her. Thus, today's episode ends. If you liked the video, press like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. The chapter begins with Makoto and his friends entering the dungeon, where Fail tells him that the weak are always on the lower floors, and that most adventurers explore the dungeon and earn money by defeating monsters between the 10th and 15th floors. Treasure chests are most likely found on these floors, and the floors above them are of no concern. They then ride on Fail's back, who runs quickly to descend to the 10th floor immediately. A group of monsters confronts them, and Fail collides with them, passing quickly. While running, Fail steps on something like a trap, causing a spear to head towards them. Just as it was about to hit Makoto, his dragon companion immediately saves him and breaks the spear. Makoto is surprised and says, aren't dungeons naturally formed, and these traps are man-made things? Fail informs him that the dungeon is like a living creature that lures humans with monsters that drop magical stones and treasure chests, intending to kill them with born monsters and crafted traps. The human corpses are then absorbed by the dungeon as food, contributing to the dungeon's growth. The traps are like the limbs of this living thing called the dungeon. During the conversation, they see several arrows launching towards them, but Fail uses his magical arm to save himself and his friends from them. Makoto then tells him that the dungeon is very frightening. They finally reach the 10th floor. Fail tells him that this floor also does not have worthy enemies, and the boss of this floor is a venomous tarantula. They must hurry to the boss room immediately. When they arrive there, they see a group of adventurers outside the boss room. When they see Fail, they mistake him for a killer monster, but Makoto immediately apologizes to them and tells them that they are not monsters and that they came to the boss room. One of the adventurers is surprised when he learns that this is Makoto's first visit and informs him that there are many rules in the dungeons that adventurers follow. When fighting monsters, the team that attacks first has priority, and the spoils are also the property of that team. Once the battle begins, the other team is not allowed to help unless asked. The adventurer who opens a treasure chest has priority in obtaining its contents. Makoto asks them if there is another team currently inside. The adventurer informs him that there is, as there are some people who ignore the rules and steal the spoils. After several hours, Makoto and his friends are seen sitting outside the boss room, bored because they want to enter immediately, but Makoto advises them to adhere to the rules and regulations. The adventurers emerge from inside carrying the spoils and tell Makoto that they will not exceed this floor and will not go down to the next one, as they all have wives and children and will not risk themselves. Makoto and his friends then enter the room. When Makoto sees the boss monster, he is very scared. Then the dragon uses its fire energy to attack the boss and defeats it. He then collects the spoils, and Makoto takes the boss's leg, realizing that it is a powerful remedy for many diseases. They advance to the next floor and see many huge monsters. The dragon also attacks them and defeats them. The dragon then informs him that he is starting to feel hungry because he has consumed a lot of magic, and so has the slime sui. Fail tells them that there is an open room with no trace of monsters and it should be safe, and they can eat there. They enter the room and find that it is like a rest area, with many adventurers resting and eating there. Then the Iron Will mercenary group arrives and welcomes Makoto, who remembers them. This group had been helpful to Makoto, as he was able to leave the kingdom of Regissaire safely thanks to them. The leader of the group tells him that they arrived in the city the day before yesterday and started descending immediately yesterday, and asks him if he has acquired more accompanying creatures, asking, is this a baby dragon? Makoto informs him that this is a pixie dragon at its adult size and its name is Dora, and he also introduces them to Slime Sui, who is a very strong slime. He then plays with the group and seems very happy with them. Everyone then informs Makoto that they are very hungry and want to eat. Makoto tells them that he will prepare food for them and they will all eat together. The group accepts this and they are very happy and everyone prepares the food together. Then, his red-haired teammate takes out a black bread. Makoto is surprised and says to her, "This bread, it looks very nice. Perhaps we should eat something that goes well with it." He takes out his heater to warm the food while cutting the bread into small slices and adding meat, potatoes, and soup. Everyone sits down and prepares to eat after saying the name of God, Basmala, as it is the etiquette of eating to mention God's name and eat with the right hand, not the left. When they eat, they find the food to be incredibly delicious, so much so that they cry from its sweetness. They eat very quickly, saying, "This is the first time we've eaten meat that melts in our mouths like this." The flavor is very rich and deep, truly highlighting the sweetness of the vegetables. The man who is crying says, "I didn't expect to be able to eat Makoto's food again. It's the best in the world. Everyone is talking about how delicious his food is." They ask him what type of meat it is. He tells them it is wyvern meat. Everyone is shocked and they look like they want to vomit, but they cannot believe they ate this ingredient and that it was so luxurious and delicious. He tells them, "Don't worry, we have a lot of it." Fail and Sweet hunted it together. They are very strong and can do anything. As for their speed, it exceeds the speed of a rocket itself. Everyone finishes their plates and wants more because of how sweet the food is. Makoto is genuinely happy and tells them, "Eat as much as you want." After they eat and take a nap, the leader of the group says to Makoto, "Listen carefully, Muko. We intend to explore this floor a little more, so we will part ways here." Muko tells them, "All right, my friends, you must be careful. Goodbye." After that, they descend to the lower floors to kill the monsters there until they reach the 16th floor. On this floor, Makoto feels that the air is different from the first 15 floors. The wolf informs him that the dungeons are like this, where sometimes the change is much greater. While they are wandering, the wolf places his foot on a stone, and suddenly an earthquake occurs in the place. Makoto and his companions are startled, and suddenly a large boulder comes rolling towards them. Makoto runs in fear to hide anywhere. The wolf asks him to calm down and not make any noise, and then uses his strength to shatter the large boulder. At that moment, Makoto understands that the traps here are more malicious than before. After that, they finally reach the 20th floor. While wandering there, Chan talks to Makoto and asks him if he is surprised by their strength, as they will continue to defeat one monster after another, and basically they are very blessed. The wolf interrupts him and tells them that he wishes to reach the depths quickly. Makoto replies that he does not want to go there. Sweet calls out to him and tells him that there is something suspicious in a hole. When Makoto looks, he finds a chest. He rushes over, very excited to examine it, because treasure chests are an important part of the dungeons. He didn't realize that finding a chest here would make him so enthusiastic. Before he can open it, the wolf grabs him and tells him that he had previously informed him that the dungeons lure humans with the ornamentation of treasures. He should look at it from a distance and carefully. Makoto proceeds to appraise it and finds that it is a trapped treasure chest designed to release a poisonous gas upon opening, and if he inhales the poisonous gas, he will die. Makoto collapses onto the ground and tells them that the dungeon is truly cruel. Field tells him that it was a good choice as they are protected by their blessings, but Makoto only has secondary blessings. Field tells him he will open the chest instead. Then the usual voice Ninreal comes to Makoto's ear and tells him, "Regarding the secondary blessing that I cast upon you, because we goddesses have compounded our blessings onto you, it has become as strong as a normal blessing. It is rare for 3 goddesses to bless the same person. This means you will not get sick, and the poisonous gas will not affect you. Therefore, enjoy the dungeon well." Makoto stands up and tells Fail that the intertwined secondary blessings have accumulated to become a single, normal blessing. Fail tells him, if Ninreal says so, then it must be true. Makoto heads towards the chest, and when he opens it, a huge amount of poisonous gas comes out, but nothing happens to them. When he looks inside the chest, they then arrive at another massive treasure chest. Makoto is very excited to open it. As he approaches the chest, a screen appears telling him that the chest is a monster disguised as a treasure chest. Makoto becomes angry. Fail tells him that the fake chest attacks the moment you try to open it, but given its size, it might be hiding something good. At that moment, Makoto takes out his very strong sword, holds it, and tries to open the chest. Suddenly, a very ugly monster pops out of the chest, which terrifies Makoto. He attacks with his sword in random strikes and finds that he has miraculously defeated the monster. He is very happy afterward. After a few seconds, the chest appears again. He opens it and finds jewels inside. However, his friends do not want any of these things. They only want to enjoy themselves and eat. After that, they descend to a new area and find a large space, a vast forest. They are astonished by this place. Fail asks Makoto to ride on his back, since there is something relatively strong ahead. They quickly rush into this large forest until they reach a strong monster of rank B named the Giant Killer Mantis. But for Fail, it is very weak. He shocks it in 1 second and defeats them all. Makoto is terrified by this power. Dora and Sui become upset because Fail was the one who defeated them alone. They wanted to participate. Fail tells them, "That is not important. We should choose something strong." Makoto finds them getting annoyed with each other. He tells them, "Let's distribute the roles. Each of you has a turn." They accept this. They continue walking in the forest, and a large black bear appears before them. Dora defeats it. The wolf speaks, saying, "These butterflies emit a paralyzing poisonous dust and suck the body fluids out of their prey while they are alive." Tsuyoshi, Makoto, replies, "They are extremely evil, Sui, be sure to attack them from a distance." Sui attacks the butterflies and succeeds in defeating them. She is happy that she has defeated them. Tsuyoshi tells her, "That's right, amazing." The wolf then tells him, "We are getting closer to the presence I feel. It's near." Tsuyoshi replies, "Hold on a moment, wolf. That strong presence is most likely the boss." The wolf is surprised. Tsuyoshi tells him, let's have a meal before we fight it just in case. I want to use the online grocery service to raise my stats with some ingredients from my world. The wolf replies, we won't lose in our current state, but eating ingredients from your world is a good idea. They sit down to eat. Tsuyoshi asks him, what do you think of the steak we had before? The wolf replies, that's perfect. Tsuyoshi informs them that they will eat some Japanese Wagyu beef slices this time. It would be bland if we only had that. We have roast pork marinated with lemon salt and green onion salt flavor, and we'll add some coarsely ground sausage. They even have roast duck with black pepper, yakitori thigh, and liver too. This should be a lot of meat. Then, it would be wise to order some sandwiches for myself. Tsuyoshi serves the food to them and they eat it. Tsuyoshi finds the lemon-salted meat and the green onion-salted meat to be refreshing and appetizing, and they are both crispy and juicy. They ask him for more food. The wolf says, the food from your world is truly delicious. Chan says, this is the first time I've had some, but it was very delicious. Sui says, it was very delicious, my lord. Tsuyoshi is happy to hear this. He then asks them, what about our stats, starting with the wolf? The wolf informs him that his stats have increased significantly. Tsuyoshi asks Chan, what about you? Chan replies, woe is me, maybe I overdid it a bit. He asks Sui, then says, well, we are about to fight the boss, so I'm sure things are fine. Finally, I'll take a look at myself. The wolf says, it's useless if your stats don't increase as they should. Chan tells him, you must compose yourself. Sui says, my lord, you can do it. Thus ends today's episode. If you like the video, press like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all our new content.